Hey, and welcome to yet another What's New in Microsoft Intune, this time for the 2410 and the 2411. Peter, what's up?
Hi, thanks for having me again. I actually feel a little bit naked now without Nikolai. Is that weird?
Yeah, we miss Nikolai. Nikolai's here, not here. He had some other things to do with the family, but we had to get on with the show because otherwise it's old news. But
There we are.
nevertheless, Nikolai, we'll miss you. But Peter and I will try to get you through and have a safe journey whatsoever. So, Peter, um, it's October release this year, and we do have some news to share here. Microsoft is not all about the SFI and what they are onto, but they are actually building some new features for us. So let's talk about the first one.
Yeah, some is indeed the right way to say it, especially if you look at the October one, right? Um, Nevertheless, it was good to finally see some enhancements in the UI of the company portal app. Like I have the one here in front of me. I personally like how clean it is, but I can imagine that the opinions might differ a little bit about it. But I like the overview. I like the fact that you get your own device like directly on the site with the main information about it. And besides that, the ID is still the same. So you have an overview of the apps that are available to you, the potential downloads and updates that are available for your device, also available in a pretty clean UI. I don't know, are you actually also using dark mode on your company portal app? Is it because
No, I'm not.
I actually always use dark mode, so I don't even know if this looks the same on a non-dark mode device or that it's always like this.
It looks pretty clean, in the other mode as well. We can
Yeah.
just do a quickly transfer here. So if we go to the home of a normal mode, this is the same. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's indeed a pretty similar, just more wide. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If I see that, I notice directly why I use dark mode again. It's it's much easier on my eyes. Um, but yeah, and if you then look in the overview of your devices, you can also directly get all the information that you need. You can check the access. So from that perspective, not a lot has changed from the information within it. It's just a little bit cleaner and yeah, more to this time. I think is that the right way to say it? More in this period, like a little bit more modern, something like that.
Hmm. Yeah. I think it's a welcome improvements.
Definitely, yeah, yeah.
Nice, but thank you, Peter, for demoing that. So the next topic that we want to talk about on this October release is the collection of additional device inventory details. And what is this all about? Well, first and foremost, there are new stuff coming into to Intune as well. And well, device inventory, that's something many people have screamed at, right? So why don't we have any better device inventory? So for example, if I go into one of my devices, what information do I actually have on my device? And that was kind of what people were questioning or asking about. So we had this hardware tab, and we had some details at least on our devices. But what they want is to be able to ask a device for custom settings and get that into the product. So that's basically what has been added in. So once I go to this device and I click collect diagnostic, this news is about that this diagnostic is also collecting these device inventory. But I just want to briefly go into the dark of the collecting and what has happened. So if we look in here, the big news is that it now gathers the HKey local machine software, Microsoft and device entry. That's one thing. And then we also have another one where it is in the file repository in program files, Microsoft device inventory agent, and logs. And now, as you see the video, you might want to go into that space and see, oh, by the way, but do I have that on my PC? Well, not if you didn't put in any policy in your environment, but you can see I have it. So I do have logs, and it's very interesting to actually look into this. In the inventory adapter, there is some MUF files, and that, if I recall back, I've seen MUF a lot of times, and something you would do normally when you have config manager and you had like custom you want to gather
Yeah,
into hardware inventory. That was
those
MUF, right, Peter?
yeah those awesome old days. Oh, that was fantastic. That you could
Yeah,
create your own inventories and compile them and make sure that the right information was gathered.
exactly. So it gives back memories of what we've already seen in terms of gathering information from a client. But if we look into the harvester log here, I think it's quite interesting to see what happens in here. I was particularly looking for this, creating the harvest SQLite database if it didn't exist, and setting the right ACLs on it. So what is this? It's basically creating, it sounds like a local little SQL database to gather
Yeah.
these informations. So it doesn't have to, I guess, spend a lot of resources to get it into this database. And then the database will then communicate this to the backend of Intune. I guess that's how it works. I
Yeah,
haven't looked into it.
I think it even says like a couple of lines below that it's initializing the shared database table creation and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, sounds
So
like a
it's
lot of fun.
It sounds like a lot of fun, and it sounds like that you would be able to maybe look into that as well on locally on the device. But I haven't tried it yet. I'm gonna play a little bit more about that. But yes, basically this is what happened. And if you wanna get on with exactly this as well, you need to create a new set of policies before you can start that. And you will do that by creating a new policy, Windows 10 and Windows 8, and properties catalog. And when you create that, you can then add properties, and you add which properties. And yes, we are locked at the moment on what we can actually get out there. But
So this
when you,
is the same data model as what's the other stuff already relying on this? The advanced analytics, right?
yes. So there are a couple of things you can check mark here. And once you select, you will then have your data refreshed every 24 hour, and you assign that to your device. And what will happen after that is the first sync you do towards Intune is that it's trying to install a new application. For those that knows a little bit about how Intune Management Extension is coming down, Microsoft are utilizing the URI called Enterprise Desktop App Management. That's also the same for EPM. And if you want to go just a little bit deeper, you should be able to go here in Software in Microsoft and Enterprise Applications. Here it is under the MSI, and you can then look for the information here. This is the EPM agent. This is the Intune management extension. And here you have the inventory adapter packaging MSI package. So we get a new URL that we need to allow list in our proxy software or firewalls or whatever we have called extensibilityagent.microsoft.com to be able to download this MSI when you assign this new policy. But once that is assigned, shortly after that, it's trying to install on your client, and you would be able to see Microsoft Device Inventory Agent here as well. So
another agent.
another agent, yes, another
Cool.
agent.
With its own separate log files and log file location and all that kind of
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So
It's actually quite good to see that we're finally getting some traction in that area. And it would be even more cool if that would be an extensible inventory that you can actually add on to yourself instead of predefined properties.
absolutely.
Because then it really gets custom.
Yes, it does. Would be nice. But moving along to the next news of this build.
News is indeed a little bit big, but it's good to know. It's definitely good to know that keep in mind that Microsoft is going to stop with supporting Android 10, or as it's going to stop with supporting Android 10. It's going to stop with supporting everything until Android 10. So you need to be using Android 10 and later to run in a supported scenario with Intune. So that's something to keep in mind, especially the coming days, months.
Yeah, that's a good call out, I believe. If you have devices that cannot upgrade for some reason, old hardware, old something that does not support it, it's time to do your hardware life cycle management.
Especially in the Android world, there are too many OEMs that are still delivering devices with old Android versions and not keeping them up to date. Of course, the bigger brands are making sure that they're getting updated and also for multiple years. Like I thought Samsung is nowadays up to 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. But all the other vendors make sure to check that out and make sure that you're getting your updates regularly, because Android is still one of those platforms that is kind of open, which is kind of cool, but also comes with its downsides when, yeah, it's being too open and you can install any package from any alternative store or source. So, yeah, keep that in mind when you're using Android.
Yeah. Yeah, good news or bad news, I don't know, but at least now you know. Um, to another topic called Windows Autopilot, and this is for the device prep. It's now supported in 21 VNets in China. So, if you are a big company or you have a branch in China, or you're even a Chinese company, well, then that's the good news for you. Peter, do you use device prep at any of your existing customers?
Poor. Not that often, no.
No? Why?
It's not usable enough yet for most organizations. It has, of course, the philosophy is awesome. I have to admit that, but the implementation at this moment is lacking some functionalities that a lot of organizations do use. Don't know what your experience is on that area, but I'm not seeing it being used at this moment.
No. I think I have some of the same reasons. There are some next. You have to click in OOBE that has not been taken care of yet, as I recall. And yeah, the experience is just different. I really look forward to using it more in production. But right now we use the good old where we import the device hash into the autopilot table, and it's cumbersome to get the hash in there. But once you have it, I think it's really reliable, and we can use both user provisioning and pre-provisioning, and we do use pre-provisioning at vendors, so they get all the apps installed prior for the user to start logging into the device. So I think still there are some stuff that we need in there before it becomes more globally adapted.
Especially the device preparation is one of the biggies that we see a lot, that customers are actually starting to utilize that to make sure that the user is getting up and running quicker. And
Mm,
if you take that away, it just, yeah,
yeah,
kind of scoops into that process of getting the users onboarded.
exactly. Yeah, but let's not talk about device prep anymore. We have finalized the 2410. So as we started to say, there was not that much. There was some. So let's go into the chapter of November release of Intune. So the first thing we have on the schedule here is the new device actions for single device query. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I, I don't know if I should be really jumping high and screaming that we have something awesome to celebrate right here. But I do like its potential. Let that be the main thing to stick around. Let me just see what we can do. If we have a device here, you have, of course, all the remote actions available and that kind of stuff. So you can basically do whatever you want. But with this new feature, like we know, we have device query. And for this specific device, we can query the device and we can, like, for example, get the BIOS information. And for this purpose, this is enough. It's going to query for that specific device and it's going to come back with results. And as you can see, we have an additional button right here now, which we can actually use to perform a remote action on this particular device. Um, yeah, minor detail like I showed when I started clicking through here, that initially you already had those remote actions also. But this does give you the ability, like in any case, if you see something, some information coming back from your specific query that doesn't match the results that you were expecting, you can immediately take action. So that from that perspective, it is a plus that you already have it here. But the main area where I can see the additional value, especially the value, is when we get the multi-device query eventually, because then this is going to be really powerful in a way that we can query, get a bunch of results back, and then perform a remote action on the results that you get back from your device query. And then it really gets powerful and useful in, well, especially enterprise scenarios. For now, I really think it's a nice addition, but it's not something that I would be jumping off and screaming off buildings to make sure that everybody is familiar with this capability.
no, I would call this a convenient feature because now you've queried your information. You saw that, whoops, this device did not comply with whatever result you were thinking you would see. And then now, instead of you have to browse back to the overview page, you can then use the device actions. So I see it as
Exactly.
a convenient feature.
I think that's
Convenient.
a nice description. Yeah, that's a convenience feature. Yeah,
Mm, yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, I very much like where we're going with this device query, where we can actually query the device online and then get here and now data. That's also something that people have screamed up about, that the data
And,
is too slow in Intune.
and the cool thing is indeed what you mentioned. You can see the growth of the product coming. That initially you could only query, now you get the actions, and you already know from the back of your head that multi-device query is coming, and then you have the whole play in place.
Yeah, it's gonna be super nice. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next favorite topic of mine, Linux. I don't know the first thing about Linux. So evaluating compliance of Windows Subsystem for Linux. That's definitely not something I I asked to get into the product, but I know someone that's not here today, Nikolai, who could have shared a lot more about this. But I don't know if you use it out there. So if you're viewing this video and you're sitting with Windows, you have a subsystem of Linux, and you want to put on compliance signal for that. What are you using it for? What is the reason for it? I would love to be more clever on this subject.
I can show you some stuff, not about actually using it, but more like how you can use the compliance stuff from an Intune perspective.
Absolutely.
It's basically a twofold thing. Like you need to deploy something, like an app. Like you have an additional agent with your inventory. You also get an additional agent for the um, uh, compliance check for the WSL. As you can see right here, I have the plugin as an app available. It's like an MSI that you can just download from the Microsoft Docs or Microsoft Learn, what we have to say nowadays. And it's pretty straightforward to deploy. You can just wrap your app, create an MSI installation command with it, and the uninstall. And you can also use that information to actually detect the installation. So far, nothing too fancy, but you need to have that plugin available to be able to use the device compliance. So once you have that in place, you can actually go to the compliance itself. And if you go there, let's just start with a new one. If you just create a new policy, like for Windows, and then you don't have a lot of options, and let's say demo. As you can see right here, we just have a new section. And within that section, you have the ability to configure which Linux distribution should be used for your um, Windows subsystem for Linux. So basically, by default, it installs Ubuntu. And besides that, you can specify the minimum OS and the maximum OS. And if I'm not mistaken, you can even use custom compliance policies nowadays for those devices. But the fun part is that once you create this policy, and I've done that already just to try some stuff out, it will actually create a custom compliance script in the backend. As you can see right here, I've already done this before, and you can see that it created like a built-in WSL compliance script with the specific GUID of the script on it itself. And here you can just see that it's a pretty straightforward script that is just checking for, well, in this case, I specified Ubuntu as the platform, and I didn't provide any additional values for the versions. But that's then the information that it's going to use to check if whether the device is compliant or not. So it has like a long script that it uses to basically check the information that we provided. And yeah, it works pretty similar to basically any other device compliance script that you might create yourself, just with a lot of checking and verifying that it's actually doing the right stuff. And of course, like a huge signature block around it. So from a really high level perspective, that's basically it. Like you need the plugin available. And once you have the plugin available, you can either use the built-in WSL compliance checks or possibly create your own custom checks with your own custom scripting.
That's pretty nice. Cool. So that script that was created in background, was that automatically created when you created the policy?
Definitely, definitely. I'm not smart enough to create that
Come
that
on, Peter.
large
You are.
around Win. Yeah, but not around Windows subsystem for Linux. That's yeah. I wouldn't have come up with that.
No, it's pretty neat. I see that they put effort into this, so that's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, let's hope that Nikolai is happy with the functionality.
We hope so. We sure hope so. He's hard to impress, but once you do, he is impressed. Cool. Next news is actually around Windows 365, and I think this was first announced on Ignite. That was 1 or 2 weeks ago, and they put on this big commercial around Windows 365 Link, which is now available in public preview. And I do have a little slide here or a little website that tells a little bit of what Link is. That is the new, uh, yeah, what do you call it?
Are you
Slim
allowed to say?
Station.
Oh, you call it a slim station. That's a fancy word. I wanted to say a thin client on steroids or something. Or
Yeah. So, but basically, what we see in this picture is that you have a pretty clean disk. You have a device that I haven't looked into prices. I don't know even if prices are there available,
yeah,
but
wasn't the list price like 350 in US dollars?
it might be. But that's cheaper than a regular device, and well, depends on hardware specs, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, it's built for this connectivity to Windows 365, and it's going to be managed by Intune. So that's why it's a part of the Intune news, and I look forward to test it out. But for further instructions and needs and see everything around it, you're right, 349, and there will be more available in April 2025.
Is it already available in your country?
I haven't seen it, but we have ordered it, and my colleague soon as well have reached out to see if he can get any benefit of his position. But we'll see.
Yeah, I thought if you click on where is Windows 365 link available, I
Yeah,
thought it also says the countries that are currently available for the public preview. Yeah.
yeah. So you need
So-
to migrate, Peter.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not on the right spot right now.
No,
Mm,
me neither. But
no.
we can wait. I suppose we can wait,
Yeah.
or just create a tenant another place.
Yeah, I hope that it's a tenant a restriction thing and not a supply thing. If it's a supply thing, then it's going to be more challenging.
Yeah,
Then we have to go to Germany. I think that's the closest for both of us.
yeah, that would be. But then we can meet in person. That would be fun as well. All right, I think that was what we have to say around Windows 365 Link. Yeah, I look forward to test it. It looks very promising. But the next topic is one of your favorite topics, Peter. That is now we have all the profiles, all the configurations we have in one big view, and that's you really think that's a nice thing, don't you?
I'm still in doubt. I don't know if I like it or if I hate it. I yeah, let's just start by showing what we're talking about. Like basically if you now go to device configurations and you're going to look at your device configuration profiles. And yeah, this is my hobby tenant, so don't look too much at the naming conventions that I've used. It's trial and error.
You have a lot
Um,
of default, at least.
yeah, I have a lot of defaults, and the defaults are available for basically all the security baselines. Um, but the fun part is that indeed all the policy types are still shown. Even though, by the way, I noticed like last week a couple of times that it all said settings catalog instead of the actual policy type. So I hope that was a glitch. Um, but it clearly shows the different policy types and what they're made of and that kind of stuff.
Mm,
So it shouldn't be too difficult to see what the actual location of the policy should be because basically everything that is related to attack surface reduction, for example, is coming straight from the endpoint security. So this is like a one-on-one from that perspective. But that's also the reason why I'm not totally sure whether I like it or not, because this also seems to imply that you can create all of those policies right here, which isn't the case. So that's like a minor downside, if you ask me. But the pro that it has is that it totally gives you one overview of all the configuration policies and profiles that are available within your environment. So one scroll through all of through this whole list, and you know what is available within your environment without having to go through all of those different areas within your endpoint security sections. So yeah, that really makes it that I'm kind of like, yeah, do I like it? Do I hate it? I actually don't know. I really have to experience it for a couple of weeks, couple of months before I can really say whether I like it or not.
Makes sense.
What's your opinion?
Yeah, I don't know either. I think it's easier to navigate a person that does not work with Intune that often to the configuration page and say, there, go ahead. You can see all the configuration for this tenant with your scope tag available. For that matter, I think this is easier. But for the matter of searchable and have an overview, I don't know if that is easier. It would be nice if I could actually search on the policy type. So if I wanted to see attack surface reductions, it could be nice that I could, search attack surface reduction, and it would just filter my policies that are that type policy. But I don't think you can. You need to have it in the policy name in order to do the actual search.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I have it in the names. Oh, that's why it was finding it.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. But if you are a customer and you look at naming structures and how to name it, and you see that the policy type is already added into portal, then you might not want to spend any characters on actually putting it into the policy name as well.
totally
I
true.
know a couple of customers that has that, so that would be nice addition to maybe, I don't know if it's an issue to add to the filter, search filter, or yeah, simply put it in there and then you're able to select. That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I was indeed just trying to click through here to show you guys what is available when we create a new profile. But yeah, this is kind of what I was referring to. Like, okay, you have an overview of all those profiles here, but you want to create one and then it's not available. So that's giving that kind of mixed experience.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so, but I mean, Microsoft are putting configurations all over the place, aren't they? If you're using Defender for Endpoint Portal security.microsoft.com, you're also able to see everything that is beneath the endpoint security, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, it
And
depends on how you work and how your business structure is built, if you
I
like
think
it or if don't.
I think especially what you mentioned with the defender policies, like everything related to endpoint security, or at least a big part of that, is now available in 3 different places.
Yeah,
It's all the same, but it's viewable from 3 different locations.
it is. So, yeah. Um, I don't know where this is going to end, but I I guess we will we will see.
Yeah, let's give it some time and let's see what will happen over the next couple of months and see if maybe we should actually come back to this point like in a couple of months and just see whether we're liking it or whether we're hating it. Because
Mhm.
I honestly don't know yet. I really have to work with it to actually experience it.
Exactly. That's how it need. You need to spend time with it, otherwise you have no thought about it. yeah, you just need to work with it. But once you have worked with it and you saw this video, comment and tell your honest opinion about it so we can share that.
Yeah, yeah, and I already saw the different opinions of people on Blue Sky. Not sure if you're on Blue Sky also, Matthias, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, it's like the filtered version of Twitter. Let's call it that. Um, for now, by the way, it just takes until everybody is on there, and then you get the same crap there also.
yeah,
But besides that, you had like a discussion there also of people. On one hand, people like it. On the other hand, people hate it. So it's just going to be a time that it has to take before we get a real opinion and whether we really like it or not.
yeah. It's difficult to build something that everyone is happy around. So
That's for
that's
sure. Yeah.
that's just how it is. But moving on from lovely configuration profiles to our that's also one of the favorite topics of us, isn't it? The device firmware configuration interface, where you can actually configure a device from when you get it from the vendor. And well, what can we say, Peter? Welcome to the Samsung, into the family of DFCI.
Hmm. Yeah,
Well,
I think that's enough. I think that's enough. Welcome.
it's enough.
Yeah.
Welcome. We don't want to
And
mention anything else.
yeah, the I think we discussed it briefly also before, but the the main challenge I think is if you look at the brands that have been added to DFCI so far are not really the brands that I at least see a lot with my customers. Like what did we had the previous time? Sony. Now we had Samsung.
Yeah.
Um, so all
And
the smaller brands are available for the DFCI configuration. Yeah,
yeah.
awesome.
But one step ahead, and maybe some of the big branches are going to build in something there as well. We saw that Dell was creating a kind of partner portal, and you can use that with Intune. So
Yep.
they might go that way. Lenovo might go another way, and HP.
HP also has something that you can connect to Intune. So the
Exactly.
bigger brands have their own solutions, but it's still, yeah, kind of funny to see.
It is, and it's again, it's just putting underline on how hard it is to a lot of companies to combine one solid product that will then give us the best possibility to manage these kind of devices.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. But keep trying, Microsoft, keep trying, everyone, to get this product better. That is the benefit for all of us if you manage to do so. So appreciate all the work that's been put into 2410 and 2411. And we really hope that we'll get some more to talk about in December month. I know a couple of topics at least that we're going to talk about, Peter. But I guess that will be after Christmas vacation for both of us.
I guess so. Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah. So just from me to you, Peter, Merry Christmas, and to all the viewers here. And it's been an
Same
honor
to you.
to create yet another year of what's new in Intune, and I think it's a lovely addition that you come on board, Peter, and talk about iOS and Android and all the PKI stuff and all that lovely jazz.
Thanks for having me. And actually, I should have worn my Christmas sweater or not.
Ah, that's
Uh,
okay. That's okay.
it, okay.
I'll put a little bit of snow on your screen when I
Yeah,
do the
exactly.
modification
Yeah.
of the video.
Sounds good. Sounds
All
good.
right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye all.